There we go. We're live.
Hey, hey, Brandon,
Hey,
we're here.
Matt.
We're live. How you doing?
We're live. I'm doing well. We haven't done one of these in
Yeah,
forever. I love riffing off with you. It's been a
yeah,
while. We got a lot to unpack, I think.
yeah,
How are things going regarding the campaign? Your
yeah.
campaign?
Things are going well. We think we got a huge shot to win. We're trying to do some last minute push to some voters who might be undecided or might not know who I am. But our messaging is working out pretty well, to tell you the truth. There are lots of people who are upset with some of the things that my opponent has done or hasn't done. So it's been really interesting to see the responses that I've gotten from some of my future constituents. But we still got a couple weeks left, so we still got a bit of a slog in front of us. How's your campaign going?
It's moving and shaking. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah, it
We
is.
yeah.
Two
I would
presidential
say
candidates.
two. Yes, yeah. I'm
Two.
not humble brag, humble brag. Yeah, so we had, Elizabeth Warren endorse our campaign, and then 3 days ago, Pete Buttigieg endorsed our campaign. So that's really it's night and day from 2016.
Yeah,
It's night and day, like absolutely. And I think we still have a lot of undecided voters as well in our district. So it's kind of funny. You say, you're talking to voters, undecided voters. We are too. And it's really interesting to see how our opponents are approaching this. I met with Mike Sparks on the first day of early voting, and he was just chilling out at the voting site. And it's like, man, this thing's not over, dude. Like,
yeah,
why are you just sitting there? Like, it's not over. I talked to a couple of voters today that were, well, at least one that was like, she was like, I don't even know who else is running against you. So
hmm,
that tells you where this district is. It tells you that there's a lot still up for grabs, honestly. And I think, and I know that a majority of voters are more inclined to approve of our message of what we're going to be fighting for than what's going on the other side. We had two negative attack mailers hit us, not even about issues. Really, if you really peel back the layer, it's just an attack on the campaign, on the people that are working so hard, folks that are involved in this community that are working on the campaign. They're attacking those people.
hmm,
Sure, I'm Brandon Thomas, the candidate. However, it takes a village to run a campaign and to run a really good campaign. So
right.
they're attacking the community on
Yeah,
that. But yeah,
do it.
it's like the first mailer was about healthcare, I guess, but they didn't provide a solution. The
Oh, they
second
don't have
was
a
about
solution. They don't have a plan.
the second one was about protesting. But they failed to mention that, Governor Bill Lee and Mike Sparks voted to criminalize protesting even further, make it a felony, because they don't like the way our folks here in our community are protesting. They didn't talk about that. They just tried to connect me to something weird, and it was like they were jumping through hoops on this last mailer to try to connect me to something. So that shows you that they have no issues, actual policy to run on. They're trying to spearmonger. And the beautiful thing about it is, we're talking to voters. We're making these connections. Not one person has brought up any of these negative mailers, so I don't really know how effective they are.
Right. Well, I mean, you're making a good point. They don't have anything to run on. So all they have is that negativity. All they have is that hate to try to rip you down. And I think so many people are sick of that. And you're running a very positive campaign. You're running a campaign that is based on concrete policy choices that we could be making, the state could be making. You're fighting
Yeah,
for.
we're making contrast. We're making contrast, but we're making
Yes.
contrast on issues.
Right.
That's the
Right.
that's the that's the difference.
Right. But I mean, just like you said, they don't have a plan. They don't have a healthcare plan. They don't have a plan for what's going to happen with people during the pandemic or after the pandemics. Tennesseans are struggling right now. And hey, all that unemployment relief, all that other COVID relief money, it's drying up right now. And it's about to be the holidays, which means, It's going to be colder weather. People's immune systems are not going to be as strong. People are going to be clumped inside. I know,
Yep.
I mean, just based on what I've seen the past couple of months, people cannot help themselves. They are dying to get back together again. Do you think that, they're going to say, oh, we're going to do Christmas over Zoom this year? There's so many people who are going to go, no. We're going to get together.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. That's a hard. That's hard. That's a hard one. And it's felt we could do that. We could have done that it safely had we had the right leadership in office that took this virus seriously the minute it came to Tennessee. And so these are the effects of this. John McCain said it best: elections matter. Elections have consequences.
Yes,
yes, they do.
That's right. Well, yeah, COVID cases are rising. And, I think it might get worse this winter. I hope not, but I think it is. And I don't think they're going to rush back over the holidays to do anything about it. But, Tennessee, the state of Tennessee is spending millions of dollars in an ad campaign to get people to wear masks, even though Tennessee Republicans have worked against the mask mandates across the state. The governor will not do it. Right now, he's in quarantine because he's been around a lot of people who have had COVID, who have tested positive lately, and they're still not taking this seriously. So, it's not the end of the world to ask people to wear masks in public places. It's really not that big of a deal. And if it saves your life or the life of people around you, what's that worth, really? I would say, you can do it. But anyway, were you going to say something about that?
Oh, no, I agree. I think it's, I want to talk about a little bit about the cover up. There was a little bit of a cover up you're bringing with the Bill Lee mask thing. So the White House had recommended, I think it was like, I don't even know if it was a recommendation, if it was more of like a mandate they can't, mandate, was Tennessee needs a mask mandate. And Lee's administration covered it up. And the way folks found out was a FOIA request, basically, from one of the health departments, a news organization. Yeah, so this is how we found out. It wasn't that the governor released it, and then he had some lame excuse as to why he didn't do it. But this is serious. I would rather our leaders tell us the truth, tell us the facts, and have us make our own decisions. Yeah. Why are you going to hide this? Let us know. It's one thing to say, I'm going to implement a mask mandate. Okay. But it's another thing to say, well, these are the recommendations from the White House. We're going to pass on it, but we want everybody in the community to know this is what the White House is saying. And so what's wrong with that? I get the politics or whatever, but I think at the end of the day, as I strive when I'm elected, I'm going to let people know just what it is and, and have you decide it for your family. Because that makes a difference. And I will say, you were talking about programs ending. We're part of a program that was implemented by the state for childcare. So I'm an essential worker. And so the state, Tennessee, is paying tuition it stops at the end of this month for essential workers. So that was a great relief.
Yeah.
For us. And, we need more stuff like that. That was, I think stop the clock is right twice a day kind of thing. But we need more stuff like that that really supports working class families, especially during a global pandemic. This thing's not over, and it's not over because of bad leadership.
Right. And when it comes to who has politicized this pandemic, it's very obvious. There's one side that's doing it, and there's one side that's not. There's one side that's very interested in the science and in the facts and listening to our healthcare professionals and listening to our epidemiologists and those kinds of folks. And then there is this other side that has downplayed the virus and has constantly worked against any measure to prevent the spread of it. And, I know I have some family members, unfortunately, and some friends who think it's a hoax. And my friend was just telling me the other day that his uncle believed that the pandemic is a hoax concocted by the Democrats to win votes. And he had a wedding last week, and him, his bride, All the groomsmen, all the bridal party, and most of the people that attended got COVID. Like 90% of the people there have COVID now, tested
So
positive.
what is he saying now? No, I'm serious. Like, it's curious. Like, I'm just.
I mean, that's
Okay.
a good question. Actually, I don't know what he's saying now, but, and actually, it's a toss up because he could still be saying similar things. But you think that at this point, the president has tested positive for COVID. Bill Lee is under quarantine, and I think that there's more that have tested positive than we know. I think they've been playing games with these tests, and frankly, I'm a little bit scared of what's going to happen later this week, because the president is going to be coming to Nashville with our next president, and they're going to be having a debate. And, the president's going to have a fundraiser in Nashville before then. Do you think any of those people are going to be wearing masks or care, about this virus? No. So, I mean, he's coming to Nashville to spread this, to spread not only his message, but to spread something else. And, I mean, it's a dangerous situation that we're in. And we're not asking for, oh my God, we need, universal healthcare right now. Well, yeah, we do. Actually, we do need universal healthcare right now, but we're not asking for the moon. We're not asking for something impossible. We're just asking for the government to take care of its people, the most basic thing that they could do. And they have failed. Our federal government has failed. Our state government has failed. Our local government has failed on this. And I am worried about what's going to happen in the future. I mean, we're closing in on 220,000 deaths in America. We were supposed to have 200,000 total, and we're looking at maybe another year of this. So anyway, I've got lots of opinions on the COVID thing, obviously. Yeah.
Well, I just want to point out that both of our opponents voted to say a resolution to say, MSNBC and CNN are fake news. And on top of that, congratulating Tennesseans for, basically not taking COVID seriously or something like that. These like petty resolutions that do nothing to stop this virus. I just want to note that, when I talk about bad leadership, I can bring the receipts as well. Right.
No, that's a good point. The state legislature got together 3 times this year, and they could have passed some kind of COVID relief bill. They could have tried to increase funding towards the unemployment compensation fund, which is badly underfunded. They could have tried to provide PPE gear for our frontline workers. They could have put money into testing and contract tracing, which is so freaking important. But instead, they passed silly resolutions like that don't help anybody, or praising Rush Limbaugh, who is not someone to be praised. Or what was it? They were their voucher scheme, which has been struck down in court, luckily. But it's they were more concerned about putting funds into that than they were about making sure that struggling Tennesseans can survive during the pandemic. There's something very, very wrong with that situation, and I think there's a lot of people who don't realize, how bad it really is. I think some people are living okay and really don't know how the other side lives. But, I got to say that my eyes have been opened about how privileged I am, and how, segregation is still alive and well in Rutherford County, in Tennessee. I've seen it with my own eyes, where they're segregated by education, segregated with housing, and segregated with healthcare too. And I think that there are some people who are in power who see that, poor folks and people who are mostly people of color are getting this more so than rich white people. And so maybe they should ignore this.
Which they shouldn't, because those poor brown folks are the ones that are delivering their food, that are the hotel workers, folks you are still interacting with every single day.
There you go. They make up the essential workers that are, have to go out there, they can't quit their jobs, and they're needed more than ever. And it was good to see earlier this year that, places like Kroger or some other places were giving, more money, hazard pay and stuff. But I don't think it was nowhere near enough, of course.
Then they stopped it.
And it's not-
My company did that too, and then they're
yeah,
like, "We're ending this," and it was like, "Well, this pandemic is very much not over."
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, and they can afford to do that. You know, I
uh-huh.
mean, they're that company. I'm sure the CEO makes millions of dollars a year,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you know, I'm all about people getting paid for the successes and for the hard work they do. But we definitely have a huge income inequality problem in America and definitely in this state. And so there needs to be a lot of changes. And frankly, that's one of the reasons why we're both running, right? Like our state representatives aren't doing anything for the people. They are
I don't
bummed.
think they get it. They don't understand
Yeah,
what people are going. They just don't get it. You
right.
know, they. I think that at the end of the day is what it really comes down to. They don't know what it's like to try to live off 725 or have multiple
Right.
jobs. Trying to get health care. Before we had this conversation, I just spoke to a man who's not in my district, but we had a really good conversation about how he was like, man, I want, like Georgia, they have free dental. And, why can't we, it was a southern state. I was like, well, they have what now?
Yeah,
So,
right.
but I'm pretty sure he said Georgia. And he was like, they have free dental. Why can't, we do that here? And I was like, well, I want to expand Medicaid and, it may not be free, but it could definitely take a good, uh, bite, if you will, out of the cost. And so we had a good conversation there, but that, it's just stuff like that. There are people that, there's those little like pop-up dental exams that happen like once a year. And so there are people that have to go to that to get their teeth looked at. That,
Right.
that, that is, that shows you the folks that we're running against live on another planet. That's
Mhm.
something they're never going to have to deal with. Because they've been in office for so long, they have nice benefits from the state, right?
Right.
From the state government. So if they retire today, they're still getting those benefits.
Right.
So they're never going to have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. And I mean, hey, we're not asking for any more health care than the president gets or the governor gets. You know, the governor seems to be feeling fine right now, right? He's on his farm.
Yeah, he was out hunting. He was out
Videos.
shooting. Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and I mean, like, why can't the average Tennessean just have the same amount of health care as the governor? That should be a no-brainer for folks. But going into healthcare in rural Tennessee, I don't know if you know about. I'm sure you do. What's it called? It's remote area medical (RAM).
I
You know?
believe you talked about this on one of our last lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
I talk about it every now and then, but pretty much the short version is the guy who invented that. It was meant to go into third world countries who were struggling with medical care to help out in places where there wasn't a hospital nearby. And he retired and came back to his home in Knoxville and realized that that problem was very much alive in his where he was in Knox County and in East Tennessee. And so he's been doing that. I know he passed recently, but I think that's still in operation. But that's a shame. That should not be happening. Tennessee is a very big state. It's a very diverse state. And I get it. There's some people that live out in the mountains, but I mean, there's no reason why anyone should have to drive 1 or 2 hours to go seek medical help.
Yeah.
That doesn't help
Yeah.
people. It's not preventative care. And
Yeah.
if we can prevent one death, it's worth it. Why not do it? And so we talk about Medicaid expansion. It's the easiest thing they could do. It doesn't
Yeah.
cost anything to taxpayers. There's no added cost. It's literally billions of dollars in federal funds that we've rejected because of it. And it's a no-brainer. And I want to say this one last thing about this. Recently, the Supreme Court rejected the refugee resettlement lawsuit that Tennessee was pushing. So Tennessee passed some law to challenge this refugee resettlement thing. And I mean, this is just taxpayer money going right out the window to challenge this law. And it was struck. I keep saying stricken. That's not a word, is it? Yeah. It's stricken down.
Struck down.
Judge,
Yeah.
and the Supreme Court, just said, okay, it's stricken down. We're not going to mess with it. But Tennessee, the state of Tennessee was arguing in this case that it can mess with the Medicaid dollars that they're receiving. These are the same people that are rejecting Medicaid expansion outright and saying we can't afford it, even though there's no added cost. So this is just mind blowing to me how these people can be so two-faced about this thing, how they can be so not concerned with Medicaid expansion, yet at the same time try to argue that, oh, well, if you do this, it's going to mess with our Medicaid dollars. Right. This is absolutely outrageous. And to add on to that, the state is trying to do something about rural hospital closing, but they can't do so much. They can only do so much. They're just patching. They're just putting a Band-Aid on the wound. They're not actually.
So people are realizing, oh, something's going on here, and they're catching on to that. Oh, something's going on here. So that they want to do something that looks like they're actually fixing the issue, but they're just putting a Band-Aid on something, that could be solved with Medicaid expansion.
Right. But this is just more proof that our legislators are out of touch. Like you said, they have no clue what the average Tennessean is going through, or they don't care. But this year it looks encouraging. I know.
I think I saw a number. I think I saw a number that early vote from 2012 to like now in Rutherford County is over 100%.
Yeah,
maybe if I saw that right, and so it was like a little small PDF, so I had to zoom in. So so that's wow.
Yeah,
that's a wow number.
Yeah,
If I was an incumbent, I would be scared.
Yeah. I think so. I think there's a lot of people who are sick of what's going on, and they're going to vote accordingly. And we're hoping that they just understand that these down ballot races are very important too, that they need to vote for state house and state senate. We've got some great candidates this year, and they just are. Our representatives and senators, they're not doing anything for the people. They're literally doing nothing for the people. And definitely Mike Sparks, he's been absent from a lot of things. I know there's quite a number of people in Smyrna Laverne who are very frustrated with him because he's been absent at best. And at the worst, he's completely just he messes things up. He fouls things up. He makes trouble when he shouldn't make trouble.
To the point where we have conservative crossover.
Right.
We definitely do. Well, having conversations with people, conservatives are done with him.
Yeah, that's a big
conservatives are done with Mike Sparks. Yes, and so that's going to help us. So once we get in and we show what we can do and what we really care about the people, I think they're going to keep voting for us. But they're voting for us to get him out. Hey, I'll take it. They're tired of him, especially with schools. So education, he said, there's a misnomer that teachers are paid poorly, that teachers are paid fairly and everything like that. So he said that.
Right. I remember that.
And then voted to take $70 million out of public schools and cancel teacher pay raises. Conservative families take their kids to public school too.
Yeah.
In the story. Stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is an issue that touches everybody. And he's fumbled the ball several times on it. And then you have the Civil War comments, that was bad.
Yeah.
He should have came out the next day and said, I was caught off guard or something. He should have did something. But no, he didn't. He just ignored it. Because, there's a certain demographic here in Tennessee that they would be very upset with him if he came out and said, you know what? Yes, it was fought over slavery, but he's just missed the mark on many different things. And you have a lot of people, a lot of conservative folks, you have a lot of independents who are just through with them. And like I said at the top, we have a lot of independents. We have a lot of undecideds, excuse me. And I don't know why they're just sitting on pretty here. And we're working hard getting those undecided. So
good. Good. Well, man, you got a great chance this year. I got a great chance this year. With Rutherford County, we've got so much potential here. We did see that over the years there was a lot of Democratic voters that just stopped voting. I think they've slowly been coming back at 16, 18. I think they're really going to come back this year. It's encouraging to see these lines. And I do tend to think that
it's encouraging and discouraging to see these lines. We should not be seeing lines.
That's
true. You know what I'm saying?
It's true
like
too.
What can we do to make voting easier? Because we were talking earlier that the Republicans do a game of subtraction, of voter suppression. And so when we start seeing turnout like this, they should be getting scared. I actually spoke with Mike Sparks directly at a voting center, and I asked him straight up. I was like, "Are you scared to see, seeing this turnout? Are you getting a little nervous?" And he's like, "No. Turnout usually helps an incumbent."
Yeah.
Not if you're a Republican.
Yeah, and not if you're Mike Sparks. I mean, people are really sick of him and what he's not accomplished over the years. And I've heard from several people who are like, we are not voting for Mike Sparks. People who are not typically vote for Democratic candidates are like, we're done. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's encouraging to see. I remember I helped out in the elections in Nashville in 15 and in 19. And in 2015, it was all about the mayor race. That's what everybody was talking about. It was all about Bill Freeman and David Fox and Megan Barry and all the folks that ran for it that year. And the council to a certain extent. This time around in 19, it was all about the council, and the mayor race was important, and definitely there was folks talking about it. But I saw more people interested in the council people and who these folks were, and I think they had more people run for council than they've had in years, and I think they had a big turnout because of that. But it was interesting to see that, because it was like 1 year it's all about the mayor. And if we can just get this one mayor in there, everything will be fine. And then in 19, it was like, wait a minute, we need more than just a mayor. We need good council people. And I really saw these voters, get to learn who their council was, what they do in office. And I feel like a similar thing is happening in Rutherford County. More people are interested in what the county commission is doing, and the city council is doing, and more people are interested in what our state representatives and state senators are doing. And I think, definitely when I talk to folks and ask them if they think their legislators are doing anything for them, they say no. Like 10 times out of 10, they say no. Yeah. Like I don't get very many people who are like, oh my God, they're amazing. Like, no, I've never heard that. I've never heard that. So like I said, at the best, they're absent. And at the worst, they're passing stupid laws that turn into lawsuits, or they're passing stupid resolutions, and they're not doing the work to actually help the people of Tennessee.
Right. And one thing I've been telling people is, if you're not seeing the representation, if you're not seeing the change, if you're not seeing the issues talked about that you feel are important to your community, you need to run for office.
Yes.
I had a conversation with a man just before we got on this chat about, he was just talking about, the opioid crisis and all this other stuff. Is the same man was talking about the dental. And I was like, you know what, you should probably run for office, right? You have a knowledge that, very few people have. And he was like, oh, well, I have a criminal record. And I'm like, so what? Because, that makes you even more of an expert on these issues. The cycle, getting in the cycle and getting out of the cycle and how hard it is. And people repeat, right? Run for office. So I think he was going to look into it. So we'll see what happens. We might have to do a live update a year from now or something to see if he's run for a county commission seat or something. But he was in Carroll County, so he wasn't in Rutherford. But so I'm really encouraging people to step up and run, because it's time that we see a diverse group of people. It's time that we people recognize the power they have, as a voter and as a citizen. But also as potentially an office holder. We definitely need to be encouraging that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We do need more people to step up and run. We definitely, we're here in Murfreesboro, we have a decent school board, but our county school board is a mess. and they weren't necessarily taking the pandemic as seriously as they can. I know the school boards have a very hard choice of whether to open up schools or not, and I'm okay with it, but we just got to do it safely. Are we diverting enough resources into making sure that kids can go back to school safely or not? I think there's been some great decisions that have been made, but I'm worried a little bit about the county school board, and so I'd like to see some people run for that. But like you said, like that was a really good point with, this guy said he had a criminal record and he wasn't sure about that. Look, what was it? It was like 1 out of 5 Black Tennesseans can't vote because they have a felony charge. I know, like Nashville is home to the zip code that has more like incarcerated people than anywhere else in America. So we're very jail friendly in this state, and there's a lot of conversation. We could continue this conversation all day about whether or not we're actually rehabilitating these people to re-enter society. I would say not quite, but it is encouraging to see. Keita Haynes in Nashville area. She challenged Jim Cooper, who I like. Jim Cooper, he's a good guy, but I like Keita Haynes quite a bit. She is a wonderful, wonderful candidate. I think she ran a great race and wonderful person. And I met her when she worked on with Free Hearts, which works with formerly incarcerated women to help them integrate back into society. And they're doing just wonderful things, amazing things. But I'm sure that she had a lot of conversations about this before she ran, because she was in jail for years for a crime that she did not commit. I'm pretty sure she was a felon, but that had been expunged, thankfully. But her story is too common. And thank God for her. Thank God that someone like her has stepped up and kind of pushed her story into the forefront, because we can have some more conversations about this. But we're not having enough. There's a lot of Tennesseans who are underrepresented in Tennessee, and this is one of the reasons why. And just like you were saying, that's how they win. They don't win when more people vote. They win when they make sure that less people are voting. And so that's why they're more interested in voter suppression techniques. And it's definitely alive in Rutherford.
And I will say that's why, these negative mailers that are going out against me are going out to Democrats.
Yeah,
they're trying to, they're going out to, that doesn't make sense. So, if you're trying to win an election, why would you send a negative mail piece about a Democrat to a Democrat? Well, you're trying to get the Democrats not to vote. They did this with Chris Mayer in 2018. I had got a phone call, them bringing up some bankruptcies. It's like, so what? So many Americans to have bankruptcies. Okay, and so it's stuff like
the president has gone through 8 or 10 of them. So
he says he never have. I don't want to be Rosie O'Donnell here, but
I couldn't help myself.
but seriously, these are real American stories. People deal with this and they get through it. So what?
Yeah.
Debate on policy, debate on issues. And that shows you, even in 18, they had no policy, no issues. 2020, no policies, no issues to run on. And so, that's voters. That's a form. I would say that's the light form of voter suppression right there. Sending that out to everybody. And honestly, if you think about it, a real waste of resources, because this is not the year you're going to get Democrats to stay home.
Right. You're right. People are encouraged to come out, and we're just hoping that they follow suit down ballot. So we got some great candidates besides us, Marquita Bradshaw. She is, I'm pretty certain, the first Black female to be a Senate candidate in Tennessee. Yeah. That's a big deal.
From a major party,
That's a very big deal. So, we're thinking that there's going to be some crossover voters who are just sick of what the Republicans are doing. And I mean, that's what they need. These people are badly underrepresented, and the Republicans are just snake oil salesmen. They just sell them on something else. I mean, just like you're talking about, we're trying to talk about real policy stuff. We're trying to talk about issues that affect people. They're out there calling us devil worshipers and baby eaters and all kinds of weird stuff.
I haven't gotten that one yet.
And, you know, I mean, the first thing they're going to do is take your guns away. The second thing they're going to do is take your Bibles away. You know, like, no, that's absolute fantasy. None of that is true. But that has worked for them in the past. But I do see it not working with a lot of people now.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's going to be, and you see, it's not just. What's really funny is it's kind of cookie cutter because I got the same mailer against me that Jerry Green got against her, and so it's very cookie cutter stuff. And I don't think people have appetite for it this cycle. I really don't. I think it's you have what's going on at the federal government, and that's just enough fatigue there in and of itself that this piece of mail, what? Okay, trash.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I'm eager to work with you in January on this pandemic relief and other things.
Yeah, I am too. I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah.
We got a big mess.
Yeah.
We got a big mess. We got to clean up.
I'm ready to do it. I know you're ready to do it. You know, hopefully we can win some more seats and take out this supermajority, because the Republicans have a supermajority and we can't even have a conversation about some things because of this. Right. So we can break that supermajority this year. It would be a huge, huge thing for the state of Tennessee. But I'm hopeful anyway, because I see Democrats gaining ground because of, just like you said, people are tired of the negativity. They're tired of the inaction. They're tired of their legislators not doing anything for them. So I think there's going to be a big change this year. And I am eagerly waiting to work with you in Nashville.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I guess that you're wrapping it up.
Well, we can talk about something else, but we are at the 36-minute mark. So I don't know how many people staying towards the end. But if you do, I will give you a cookie. I will bake you a cookie. I promise. Ted asked me for cookies. I know I got to get him a cookie. But
okay.
No, I don't know how many people are watching right now. But if you're still watching this, we're still in it. This race isn't over yet. We're making the best run of it we can in the last couple of weeks. We're targeting certain people and trying to churn them out. But we still need your help. If you can donate, if you can volunteer, please sign up on our websites. My website is mattferrytn48.com. Brandon's, yours is
votebrandonthomas.com.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got potential here in Rutherford County. We really do. There was one other thing I wanted to say is, if you know anybody in your family, friends, neighbors, your network of friends who might be on the fence, we know that there's not too many of those people, but there's still those people. Please help them get out and vote if they're registered. They're not registered. It's too late to register. But if they're registered to vote and they're not sure about who they're voting for or if they're going to vote, please help them make a plan to vote. Please tell them about us. Please tell them about the potential that we have for change in Tennessee. So, just 3 friends. I think.
And people are astonished by, in 2018, this race that I'm running in was decided by 1,050 votes. So literally, your vote matters in this race. Literally, you could be the one that puts us over the top.
Right.
This is how close this race is. I expect it to be very close. On election night, honestly, I'm probably just going to turn my phone off. And just because Michael's going to be the one probably looking at the returns, I'll let him do it. I'm done after November 3rd at 7:00. I'm turning my phone off. I've done all I could. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll wake up the next day and be your next state rep.
Don't turn off your phone, because Channel 5 is going to contact you and want to do an interview that night. So don't turn your phone off just yet. But well, we're almost there, and we got a great chance to win. And like you said, I mean, that race was so close that absolutely you can win this year, and it would be a historic win, and it would be a win in the right direction, and it would be a win for decency and for people who care about other people. We desperately need a change in the state house and state senate. So, Brandon Thomas, thank you for talking to me today. It was good to see you.
Ferry.
Good to see you.
Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah. And we'll probably talk again before this is all over. Do another live stream possibly, but it's been. It hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been months since we've done this. So
It probably has been months,
yeah,
honestly. Yeah. Yeah.
probably been 1 month, but thank you again for running. I think you're a great candidate, and I think you can win this
Thank
year.
you.
And it'll be a pleasure to serve with you in January.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. You got to
Yeah,
win too, man. We
yeah,
got some phone calls to
yeah.
make.
So close. Yeah, I gotta make some phone calls like right now. So I'm gonna let you go.
All
But
right.
Brandon, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
See ya.